In 1966, in a small town in Czechoslovakia, a baby girl was born. Her name was Eva Herzigová. No one could have predicted that this little girl would one day become one of the world's most iconic supermodels. Who could have imagined that the child running through narrow streets and dreaming quietly would one day appear on giant billboards in front of millions of eyes worldwide? Eva's childhood was simple and ordinary. She played with friends in the streets, dreamed quietly at home, and spent hours studying her reflection in the mirror. But there was a light in her eyes, a grace and curiosity that stood out even in the modest environment of Eastern Europe. That curiosity would carry her far, straight into the heart of the fashion world. Her family lived modestly under the restrictions of a socialist regime, yet Eva had a courage that stretched beyond boundaries. Even at 10, she stood out among her peers. Her smile, the symmetry of her features, and her natural poise captivated everyone around her. She often stood in front of the mirror, dreaming and whispering to herself, "One day, I'm going to make it." Then came 1989, a beauty pageant that would change Eva's life. At just 16, she captivated the judges at Miss Czechoslovakia in Prague. Her striking blue eyes, elegance, and confidence won her first place. This victory was more than a crown. It was a key that opened doors to a new world. After the pageant, Paris welcomed her. At the time, Paris was the heart of the fashion industry. Icons like Claudia Schiffer, Cindy Crawford, and Naomi Campbell dominated the scene. No one could have predicted that Eva would soon join their ranks. Her first days in Paris were both thrilling and dazzling. Massive studios, famous photographers, international modeling agencies. Each experience was both exciting and a test. When she walked her first runway, she paused amid the applause and told herself, "Here I am. I deserve this." Eva was discovered by agencies like Rocco Baracco and legendary photographer Peter Lindbergh. Upon seeing her portfolio, Lindbergh remarked, "There's a story in this girl." Her face could convey both innocence and a femme fatale aura. Agencies immediately lined up with offers. Before getting lost in Paris's lights, Eva began working with elite model management. One of her first jobs was a cover shoot for Elle France. Photographer Claudio Basso described her. "When Eva looks into the camera, she pulls you in. Every frame tells a different story." Paris agency meetings were like a laboratory for Eva, the complex worlds of fashion, style, and photography. As photographers explored the different characters in her face, Eva discovered herself anew with every shoot. Innocence, allure, elegance, all emerging at once. In 1990, Eva set her sights on Milan. Milan was different from Paris. The fashion scene was tougher and more competitive. Walking for giants like Valentino, Versace, and Dolce & Gabbana was both an honor and a test. Her first Milan runway was for Valentino. Lights, a packed audience, fashion elites. Her heart raced, but her walk was confident and determined. Everyone watching knew this little Czech girl was destined to become a star. Eva's experiences in Paris and Milan laid the foundation for her to become more than just a model. They prepared her to be a cultural figure. As photographers discovered her, the fashion world began to take notice. Every new shoot, every runway show told the world her story. Paris was like a laboratory for Eva, a place where she encountered the complex worlds of style, fashion, and photography. At her first agency meetings, the young model felt both excited and a little shy, but that quickly changed. Photographers noticed something extraordinary in her face, sometimes an innocent young girl, sometimes a dangerous femme fatale. Eva was making an impression with her versatility. One of her first professional shoots was for Elle France. Photographer Claudio Basso described her. "When Eva looks into the camera, time seems to stop. She can create a different character in every frame, a skill that sets her apart from other models." This shoot helped establish Eva's name in Paris. Soon after, covers for Vogue Italia and Harper's Bazaar followed one after another. Each shoot was transforming the fashion world's perception of Eva, not just as a model, but as a work of art in herself. In 1990, Eva moved to Milan. Milan was different from Paris, more competitive and tougher. Walking the runways for top fashion houses was not just about beauty, it was about power and determination. Eva was ready for the challenge. Her first Milan runway was for Valentino. Spotlights, a packed audience, fashion elites. Her heart raced, yet her walk was flawless. Everyone watching immediately recognized that this young Czech girl was a star on the rise. Offers started coming in from Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, and Prada. During her first season in Milan, Eva learned a great deal both backstage and on the runway. Discipline, time management, professionalism, and the ruthless side of competition. Another key figure who discovered Eva during this period was Steven Meisel. Upon seeing her portfolio, Meisel immediately recognized her potential and offered her assignments for high-profile Vogue covers. He said about Eva, "A model can't just be beautiful. Eva has both beauty and character. She tells a story with every pose." Eva's experiences in Paris and Milan matured her quickly. Agencies, photographers, and designers admired her versatility, and she soon became the face of major campaigns. One of her first big campaigns was a perfume advertisement for Chanel. Photographer Herb Ritz often guided her during the shoots, but Eva's natural elegance and professionalism always shone through. Her success during this period didn't just attract the attention of the fashion world, it also increased media interest. Magazines like Paris Match, Vogue Italia, and Elle covered her story in detail. Her journey from the narrow streets of Paris to the bright runways of Milan marked a turning point in her career. By 1992 to 1993, Eva had become a recognized name on the Milan runways. She walked alongside supermodels like Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, and Christy Turlington. This not only boosted her confidence, but also helped her gain prestige in the fashion industry. Each runway show was a new challenge and a learning experience. Other major works that shaped her career included covers for Elle Germany and Marie Claire. Photographer Patrick de Marchelier described her as one of the rare models who can fully express herself in front of the camera. Each shoot reinforced her understanding of professionalism and creativity. Eva's early years in Paris and Milan marked her rise not just as a model, but as a potential cultural icon. The long hours, constant travel, and fierce competition strengthened her character, preparing her for future moments that would become global phenomena, like the legendary Hello Boys campaign. 1994. A year that would become unforgettable in the fashion world. London's streets were plastered with enormous billboards, a black Wonder Bra, and just two simple words: "Hello, boys." The woman on the billboard, with her blue eyes, golden hair, and seductive stance, captured everyone's attention. That woman was Eva Herzigová. The campaign marked a turning point in fashion history. Eva was no longer just a model. She was becoming a global phenomenon. People stopped to look, debated, and even traffic accidents occurred as drivers were distracted by the billboard. Media frenzy dominated newspaper headlines. Women discussed her, men admired her. The Hello Boys campaign was more than an advertisement. It was a cultural event. Campaign directors Gilbert Brown and George Galley chose Eva because she could convey the message not just with beauty, but with charisma and presence. During the shoots, Eva was relaxed and confident. Photographer Herb Ritz commented, Eva radiates a natural power in front of the camera. She can captivate people with just her gaze. The campaign became a launching pad for Eva's career. The fashion world was talking about her, and she became the center of media attention. From that moment on, her name appeared in magazines, television shows, and newspapers worldwide. Eva reflected on that period in interviews. A single ad changed my life. People started seeing me not just as a model, but as a fantasy figure. It was empowering and exhausting at the same time. The success of the campaign opened doors to collaborations with other major brands. Victoria's Secret, Guess, and numerous other big names lined up to work with her. Every shoot carried immense significance, both professionally and culturally. Yet with success came pressure. The media was constantly on her trail. Paparazzi followed her private life, and every move made headlines. Eva had to learn to manage this intense attention. Between the dazzling lights of the fashion world and the relentless eyes of the media, Eva worked to stay grounded, both as an icon and as a human being. The Hello Boys campaign introduced the world not just to Eva's face, but to her character. People talked about her elegance, confidence, and charisma. She was no longer just a model, she had become a symbol. The golden age of fashion was entering a new era, and Eva's rise was leading the way. After the Hello Boys campaign, Eva Herzigová had become more than a supermodel. She was a cultural icon. Fashion magazines competed for her presence. Covers for Elle, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Marie Claire came one after another. Every page tried to capture the different expressions, elegance, and character in Eva's face. Photographers saw story in her eyes, sometimes innocence, sometimes a seductive power. Eva could take on a different role in every frame. The fashion world embraced her. Chanel, Versace, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana. Each runway and campaign reinforced her iconic status. Paris, Milan, and New York runways had become her stage. Eva didn't just walk. Her presence and charisma captivated audiences. Around 1995, Eva stepped into Hollywood. She began exploring the film world through small roles in commercials. MGM and independent filmmakers recognized her elegance and natural acting ability. In her early attempts, she presented a confident and striking presence in front of the camera, creating a profile that merged fashion with pop culture. Eva was now visible not only in fashion, but also in media and cinema. One of the key figures who discovered her during this period was Mario Testino. Upon seeing her portfolio, he said, "Eva is not just beautiful, she's a rare model who can capture the soul of the photograph. She dances in front of the camera and creates a new story with every pose." Eva's media visibility increased her professional prestige. Fashion houses and brands lined up to work with her. Victoria's Secret catalogs and advertising campaigns cemented her status as a global icon. These campaigns left a lasting mark in both fashion and popular culture. However, all this success came with pressure. The media was constantly on her trail. Photographs, interviews, and gossip news brought Eva's life into the spotlight. Yet Eva had learned to manage this intense attention. Her professionalism and confidence allowed her to remain at the top during this period. Eva Herzigová's story in Part 4 shows her evolution from a model to an icon who left a mark in both fashion and culture. Her deep eyes and elegance made her internationally recognized and positioned her as one of the pioneers of the 90s supermodel aesthetic. 1996, Eva Herzigová married Bon Jovi's drummer, Tico Torres. Their wedding attracted major media attention, with the press calling them a dream couple. However, Due to their hectic work schedules, constant traveling, and media pressure, the marriage didn't last. The couple divorced in 1998. For Eva, this was her first major personal heartbreak, alongside her career successes. The media dramatized the split, and paparazzi followed her every move. At the time, Eva said, "People only look at my face and body. They don't want to see who I really am." In the early 2000s, Eva met Italian businessman Gregorio Marsiaj. The couple never married, but they maintained a long-term relationship. They have 3 children together: George, born 2007, Philippe, born 2011, and Edward, born 2013. In 2017, they officially got engaged. For Eva, motherhood and family life became as significant a turning point as her career. She had to balance the fast pace of the fashion world with family life. During this period, she managed to maintain her professionalism while prioritizing her personal life. Motherhood shaped both her personal maturity and her perspective on her career. The late 1990s and early 2000s were still intense but challenging years for Eva professionally. Runways, international campaigns, and constant travel were exhausting both physically and emotionally. While the golden age of fashion continued, a new generation of supermodels was emerging, and competition was rising. Names like Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, and Heidi Klum were now new rivals standing across from Eva. Media pressure had also intensified. Paparazzi followed her every move. Magazine headlines covered vacations, shopping trips, and even moments with her children. This relentless attention was increasingly challenging for Eva. Protecting her personal life became as much of a struggle as achieving professional success. On one hand, the demands of her career; on the other, the intensity of family and personal life. Eva was forced to pull back in certain areas. She turned down some campaigns, reduced runway appearances, and became more selective. This process helped her reshape her professional strategy and protect herself. Additionally, the stress and exhaustion led to health concerns and periods of fatigue. The fast-paced life of the fashion world was both a learning experience and a test of endurance. Eva reflected during this time, "I've always loved being in the spotlight, but sometimes you have to step back just to be yourself." Eva's decision to step back didn't halt her career entirely. Instead, it allowed her to continue strategically. During this period, she maintained her prestige through carefully chosen projects, focused on her family, and preserved her professional identity. This approach contributed to the longevity of her career and solidified her respected place in the fashion world. Today, Eva Herzigová is remembered as one of the most iconic models of the 1990s and 2000s. The Hello Boys campaign became a turning point in fashion history and remains a lasting symbol in pop culture. Her collaborations with Wonderbra and Victoria's Secret propelled her career to its peak, establishing her not just as a model, but as a cultural figure. Through the ups and downs of her career, Eva became an example of professionalism and resilience. Her runway walk, expressions during shoots, and presence in front of the camera served as inspiration for younger models. Photographers and designers always considered working with her a privileged experience. Fashion legends like Mario Testino, Herb Ritz, and Steven Meisel didn't hesitate to define Eva as an icon. After reaching the heights of her career, Eva shifted her focus more toward her family and personal life. Spending time with her children and protecting her marriage and private life became her priority. Yet this didn't diminish her influence in the fashion world. On the contrary, Eva maintained her prestige through selective projects and set a standard for new generations of supermodels. Today, Eva Herzigová's name is remembered not just as a face or a campaign, but as a symbol of an era. Fashion critics frequently highlight how exemplary she was in professionalism, elegance, and charisma. Magazines like Vogue, Elle, and Harper's Bazaar remember her as a legendary supermodel of the 1990s and 2000s. Eva's legacy serves as a guide for young models, how to remain professional, handle media pressure, and build a long-lasting career. Her story is etched not only in the fashion world but also in cultural memory. With her elegance, charisma, and work ethic, Eva has secured her place as an unforgettable figure in fashion history. Today, Eva still commands respect in the fashion industry. While she occasionally appears on runways and in campaigns, her main focus is on her family and personal projects. Nevertheless, young models continue to look up to her runway presence, grace, and professionalism. Eva Herzigová continues to live on not just as a supermodel, but as a lasting icon in fashion and popular culture.